So today's lesson is designed to set the stage for our upcoming project. And basically the point of today's lesson is to talk about who cares about the trees anyway. So to begin, we're going to review the harvesting methods that we had talked about last week because when you guys did your assignment, there were some misconceptions and I just wanted to make sure that I cleared those up. So the first type of harvesting is clear cutting. When a company comes in and clear cuts, they get rid of all of the trees. There's nothing in the stand that's left behind. This picture is very accurate in what a clear-cut section would look like. The next method is called shelter wood. So what they do is they plant a bunch of seedlings and then they leave the mature trees for a while to shelter those seedlings to help them grow, and then they'll harvest the mature trees and leave the seedlings behind. The next one is strip cutting. So when they strip cut, they take long narrow strips of the trees and they leave strips in between. Often you'll see this in places like the mountains and other things like that where they don't want people driving to see that they've been cutting trees. This is a nice way to hide the cutting, I guess. In the seed tree method, they clear the area, but they leave a few mature trees so that they can seed new trees on their own without having to plant trees. And this also ensures the same genetic crop grows back. So it'll always be the same type of trees growing in that stand. And finally, selection harvesting is where they just mark individual trees and take them. So for whatever reason, they target specific trees. So your guys' task, one of the first tasks for today, is you're going to have to define the following terms. So it says, the next 3 slides, I'll outline different ways to regenerate or reforest areas that have been harvested. Please explain what each term means. So the first one is natural regeneration. So what you want to do is go to Google and type in natural regeneration and find out what that actually means. Remember what we were talking about last week with plagiarism? Please make sure that you put this in your own words. For this one, this is a really good example. Think about what natural might mean. If something naturally regenerates, what's happening? So make sure you put it in your own words. If you can put a picture, awesome. The next thing you're going to have to do is tell me what direct seeding is. So direct seeding is, and again, in your own words. And planting seedlings. This one might be a very easy one to figure out. So once you're done that, I'm going to ask you to pretend for a minute that a logging company wants to come and clear cut all the trees behind our school in order to make lumber. Make a list of 3 people or groups of people that might care about harvesting the trees. So who would care if someone wanted to come clear our forest behind Ashmont? So a good place to start is thinking about who uses the forest there and for what. How would it affect them? And then I'm asking you, what would your position be and why? So you can't just say just because. You have to actually think, do you care and why? So what would your position be? And then I go on to explain that a stakeholder is people that have an interest in the forest for one reason or another. Our next project involves taking a stand on a forestry issue from the perspective of a stakeholder. So think, for example, they wanted to clear cut all of the trees on a mountain to make a ski hill. Who would have an interest in that? So you have to think, of course, the people who want to open the ski hill would care, right? Because they want those trees cut so they can have their facility. It's a national park, so people who work in the forestry department would care. Environmentalists might care. People with avalanche control might care because often those trees that are on the mountains serve as a barrier for avalanches. They also prevent erosion. Maybe you would care. Maybe the people in the forestry industry might care. There's lots of different stakeholders involved in these things. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is go back to Classroom, and there you'll find your assignment. It's just a copy of this template. All you have to do is fill in those few definitions and think about that whole stakeholder problem. This will probably take you the remainder of the period. When I come back, we will start having a discussion about more specifically the idea of stakeholders and who they might be. Good luck.